beneath the surface of the earth to the snowflake that falls from the sky, most matter is crystalline. For reasons not fully understood by scientists, the atoms within crystalline matter arrange themselves in orderly, three-dimensional patterns called lattices. Whether they are viewed as flowers of the mineral kingdom, reflections of the higher self, or servants of the space age, crystals affect all of us. In exploring the boundaries of time and space, modern technology relies on these earth minerals as memory devices, transmitters, and regulators. Each year in Los Angeles, California, the Crystal Congress convenes, bringing together people from around the world to share their ideas and feelings about crystals. This gathering of educators, artists, and healers is a forum for increasing our awareness and understanding of crystals. In addition to producing the Crystal Congress, artists Lawrence Stoller and Glenn Lehrer are recognized for cutting and polishing the world's largest and clearest quartz crystals.
The Crystal Congress doesn't represent any one point of view. It's really been established to bring in all of our different facets and to be an environment in which we can grow together and we can learn together and we can have fun together. That is really the theme of our lives, is to keep growing, to keep learning, to keep sharing information. And what we're finding is that when you do share information, everyone grows, everyone benefits, everyone takes a step further together, and that's really our objective there. And the crystals are a wonderful theme and a beautiful companion to do that with.
I feel what is really the essence and the excitement that's going on around crystals, and you'll get a lot of agreement in the mineralogical field about this, about all the crystal movement. It's not all that's being predicted or it's channeled about it, but the fact that it's drawing more and more lay people who had absolutely no scientific upbringing in school, that were actually repelled by it, coming back into it from a slightly different way outside of the classroom environment to discover the wonderment and the beauty of nature in such a way that it gets them to begin to think for themselves.
Mineralogist Frazier.
I feel better for being able to have and hold and appreciate crystals, and I feel better for the opportunities to be able to study them. And I think that's what motivates not only the people in the metaphysical world, but also the dyed and the wool rockhound and the mineral scientist. I think we're all involved in the same thing, the wonder and appreciation of things which fortunately aren't totally explicable to us. I think once it gets totally explicable, why then its only use is to show up in a final exam. But while we can still wonder about it, why it does something for us personally and internally. I think that making a collection of crystals and coming to know them as the individuals that they are, and every crystal is individual, because just like a human being, we're all the same species and have the 2 arms and 2 legs, but each of us has a specific individual background and influences and so forth, so that we each are very individual. Well, every one of these beasties here is very individual. think having a calcite cleavage rhombohedron, that you can go back and reassure yourself that there are really two, and one of them moves when you turn it and one of them doesn't.
Crystal Congress provides a rare opportunity to see and feel these earth minerals, as well as gain a better understanding of what some people say is a metaphysical connection. Crystal metaphysics is a philosophy that feels the human mind in union with crystals offers a doorway to deeper dimensions of knowledge through focused intention and intuition. Here, geologist Bonewitz, metaphysician Victoria Sikirdji, and spiritual scientist Randall Bayer explain their views.
Crystals really are part of the universe experiencing itself. In fact, as the universe begins to create matter at our own level of density, the very first thing it does with it is it makes minerals out of it. It makes crystals out of it. And a great portion of the universe now has moved into this sort of level of density, the level of density that we experience in the mineral kingdom, the level of density that we experience in our own bodies, in our own planet. And yet in very few of the places in the universe that have come into the mineral level of experience, do we find beings such as ourselves who are part of that level of experience. We can see this in our own solar system. We're the only planet where all of this is going on. We are part of the universe's own experience of its own life process. And as we experience our own life, which is part of the same process, we are connected. And we experience our own connection to the living essence of the universe itself. Well, my experience of crystals and the experience that I see a lot of other people having of crystals, particularly in the beginning, is you see lots of reflections in them, but because you're not used to seeing that part of yourself, or perhaps even recognizing that that part of yourself exists, we don't recognize the reflections. Now, almost all of us have some sort of experience of crystals that suggests that somehow they're very powerful. They're not. They're not at all. But what you're seeing is your own power reflected back in them. We believe that crystals are healing. We have that experience of them. They're not. But what they do reflect back to us is the part of ourselves, the part of our own human capacity to create balance and harmony in the world around us through the state of our own inner being. That's the reflection that we're seeing back, the reflection that we don't often recognize in ourselves. And many of us experience in the crystals some sort of connection, some sort of very profound and deep connection to the world around us, to the universe around us. Guess what they're reflecting back? That part of ourself that is one and whole and universal and connected. Crystals are mirrors of the self that is the cosmic connection, the self that is one and whole and part of the universe.
To me, the use of crystals helps our minds to become clearer. In their nature themselves, they're very clear. And by using them and their abilities to amplify and magnify our intentions, it enables us to become clear beings. And I feel like, to me, that's why in the last several years there's been such an increase of crystal input on the market. Not only the use of crystals, but books and whatnot that have appeared. But it is called for us in this time on our planet to become more conscious beings. And in using crystals in particularly, they help us to become more consciously aware. Because of their amplification and magnifying abilities, they show our intentions in a clear level. So if you are speaking disharmonious, or you are in disharmony, okay? Whether it is your words, your actions, your thoughts, whatever. When I work with crystals, it enables me to see clear these amplified thoughts that are out of harmony or out of balance with the earth. Thus, then I can remedy that within myself and get beyond it. In the same respect, it shows me more of my divine qualities, the light that is within me, that is captured within my heart and within everyone.
Now, one of the great strengths of the crystal kingdom, and why they play such a cornerstone foundational role in the overall scheme of things, is that they have great stability of structure. They can hold particular vibrational frequencies and vibrational patterns steady with great endurance, even through great flux of energies. They hold their patterns steady. And they're like templates that we can key into, and they do not vary. They hold the pattern, they hold the key for us to link up with. They help connect the high with the low, and the low to the high. The heights of the universe to the depths, and the depths to the heights. Now, it's important to realize that we don't need crystals to do all these things. They're simply helpful tools. Just like the carpenter picks up a hammer to do a particular task, puts it back down when the task is done. There's no attachment. We have the capability inherent within our divine blueprint to do all the spiritual evolvement sequences within our own being. These tools right now can be used in a very valuable way. I don't know about you, but I'll take any help I can get at this point. We're in a very densified vibration on the earth plane, and they are really gifts of grace to be used with discernment and non-attachment. Different gems open up different angles of perception, or different interdimensional vistas. It's like celestite is an interdimensional gemstone. When you interface that with third eye, it connects you with a different flavor, you might say, of creation, which is different than sapphire, different than quartz. So we see with the gem kingdom in all its great diversity, we have like an alphabet or a toolbox of consciousness tuners to choose from, depending on what type of universal thought pattern or light vibration we want to link up with at a particular time.
Crystals are defined as a solid mineral bound by a precise atomic structure inside and an equally precise geometric shape outside. The internal atomic structure of crystals is their distinguishing property. All crystals are classified into 6 geometric systems and subdivided into 32 classes, determined by planes of symmetry. These planes of symmetry are defined as dividing a solid into 2 halves that are mirror images of each other.
This crystal is a completely natural crystal. It was plucked right out of the earth like this. It's like a flower in bloom. And everything about it is the way that Mother Nature had it planned. These striations, which actually look like saw marks, are growth patterns. And the tip, which is quite perfect here, and the symmetry is all, again, created by nature.
All of these phenomena that we do observe, such as its beautiful crystal form, is a direct result of how the geometry of how those component atoms are put together. That's the real reality of a crystal. We have a heck of a time appreciating the reality of a crystal because it's nature on a scale that is so small that we just can't crawl down there and do it. George Gamow wrote a marvelous book about this once called Mr. Tompkins in Wonderland, and what one would observe if one were shrunk down to the proper scale. And curiously enough, what you would find is most of the Earth is made up of silicon-oxygen tetrahedra, a tetrahedral-shaped unit that is 4 big, round, fat oxygen atoms with 1 small, also round silicon atom sitting between these four, and then a lattice work made up by joining, by sharing the corners of this tetrahedron. The matter of how crystals form in nature is really interesting, and it has a lot to do with being able to appreciate crystals. Because if we just look at crystals as being an aesthetic object which is there on the table, and we don't question its background any more than, well, there it is on Rock Courier's table waiting for us to buy it, we lose a lot of our appreciation of what it really is. Because this thing had to occur someplace in the Earth's crust. If it's a well-formed crystal, it had to occur in a very unusual place in the Earth's crust. It had to occur in a hole. You know, and if you start digging into the Sierra Nevada mountains, how many holes are you going to find that are big enough to accommodate a crystal? They're blessedly scarce. You just don't find holes sufficient for a crystal to grow.
So imagine from the center of the Earth this fiery ball pushing it out in a great expansion, and this compressive atmosphere from outer space compressing down on it. What forms is a thin crust of hard rock between the two, which is that Lehrer zone, almost like a scab-like position. And through this thin crust of rock, in very isolated pockets throughout the Earth, under the right ambient conditions, which is the right temperatures, the right pressures, this liquid magma that's forcing itself up to the outer reaches of the planet gets itself caught in pockets, little veins. And in that vein, you have the right temperature and time duration, which at this point, we don't know what the right time duration is. There's a lot of supposings. That right time frame in which it can slowly cool, where these random atoms are running around like crazy mania, and then trying to link up with something, because the very desire of the Earth, or the very desire of life, is to link up in relationship. And that is true of us as individuals. It's also true of the atomic molecular world, where they seek like electromagnetic principles, and they grab onto each other. So for instance, quartz, which is one type of crystal, you have silicon and oxygen. And you take silicon that's running around, it has a great compatibility with oxygen, two of the most abundant elements in the Earth's crust, find each other in such a way that they link and freeze together to form a nice structure. And then what happens, they start building outwardly in a three-dimensional crystalline lattice. And as it expands, what we have on the outer visible macro level is what's really happening on an internal micro level.
Sometimes you can see the stages of growth, because while it's growing, why there might be other things in the solution which either form in the solution and settle in the cavity. Chlorite mica, that green mica that is found in many quartz crystals, is one of those. Sometimes there'll be a rain of chlorite, and it'll come down on the surface of a crystal, and then later it'll be covered over with more quartz, and so that you'll see that surface outlined in green chlorite. And we call this a phantom. It's a phantom of the former crystal.
So what's neat about crystals, whether it's diamond crystals or garnet crystals or quartz crystal, is that it's the window from the macro to the micro, back to the macro. So you have a way into the core of the Earth through the imagination and amazement of a crystal that's so well formed and comes to a nice pointed termination, such as this crystal, where it's growing and growing and growing till it reaches a place of crescendoing at a fine pinnacle point. You can really allow yourself the imagination and wonder and beauty of how could this really happen. And that is, I want to say, one of the most deepest principles of spirituality, is to be full of wonderment, full of curiosity. As a child that is full of curiosity of, Mommy, how does this happen? It's that kind of curiosity that has bridged all of the science community. So deep at the core of science, you have real spirituality, which is filled with wonderment. How did the Earth really form? Or why are we really here? And how does it work?
The 32 crystal classes are nature's real reality. And each one of those crystal classes has some specific collection of symmetry elements. And for instance, a salt crystal or a diamond crystal or a fluorite crystal has symmetry which is unbelievably complicated. Those things have 9 planes of symmetry, and 4 axes of threefold symmetry, and 3 axes of fourfold symmetry, and 6 axes of twofold symmetry, and what's called a center of symmetry. A center of symmetry is a curious kind of symmetry, which, say, a sphere would have a center of symmetry because each point on a sphere has a point which is exactly like it on the opposite side of the sphere. Quartz crystals have a very low amount of symmetry compared to some of these other things. It has a threefold axis of symmetry. That C-axis is a threefold axis. And then it has 3 horizontal twofold axes. And that's it. That's all the poor beast was given. And just as a consequence of the geometry, if you don't have a center of symmetry, then you can have these properties like piezoelectricity and pyroelectricity and such. And it's limited to very few. And quartz is one which it really exemplifies it very, very nicely. A more symmetrical geometry cannot show this property. And the property is that if you put pressure or stress in certain directions into the crystals, then this will be transformed into electrical energy coming out of the crystal. And if you put electrical energy into it, then it'll flex. It'll turn to mechanical energy. And by cutting wafers in very perfect quartz crystals that are very precisely oriented with respect to the crystal lattice, and cutting them to certain sizes and being all very neat and tidy about this, you can incorporate them into electrical circuits, and they're marvelous regulating devices in the electrical circuits. There's a little wafer in there someplace which makes this thing not lose very much time or gain very much time.
In addition to those useful properties for science and technology, artists such as Glenn and Lawrence cut and polish these clear stones, enhancing the form and creating objects of fine art.
Through our art, we are also bridging in the metaphysical community with a lot of individuals that are finding healing properties in crystal. By cutting a crystal, you can enhance it in such a way that you can get more out of it. And then there's the naturalist purist that if you do cut it, you take away its internal metaphysical quality, as much as also many of the mineralogists believe that you take away the specimen quality of it. So there are many different beliefs. My feeling is about that, because I am an artist, and I too enjoy what I do as a cutter, is that as a cutter, it could go either way. You could either take away from a crystal what's there, or you can enhance it in such a way to bring more out of it. And the way that I believe is that anybody that has an intention, and you direct that intention to a given focus, in such a concentrated, impeccable way, you will always get something back tenfold by concentrating it. It's the real elixir, taking and resolving until you get more and more the finer essence of something, much in the same way that a Native American will make his medicine wheel. And by his medicine wheel, he is chanting, he's praying, he's bringing in what he calls his power to a concentrated form, so that medicine wheel becomes a shield, a form of greater strength, or it's a rattle, or a Tibetan bell, or whatever that may be. I hold that same belief because I'm spending many, many hours in front of a particular object, such as quartz crystal, and I'm reshaping one that may not be so beautiful outwardly in the world, that's been discovered, or, there's a lot of imperfect looking crystals out in nature that have bends and cracks and breaks that Mother Nature has done. So we'll take those particular crystals and put our essence into it. So we'll spend 8-9 hours with that particular object, thinking about it, feeling it, measuring its angles, which is taking our intention, our focus, and our concentration and squeezing into it something more. So it's the synergy between us as living, breathing, feeling people to allow ourselves a doorway to step in and integrate with nature in such a way that something greater can happen. Somebody as Lawrence and I, who are artists, we like to take a medium that is already so there and breathe more into it, to become part of a relationship with, to give more by the integration of the two, the crystal and ourselves, and have people be moved and touched by that.
It is this attitude that parallels the current belief that crystals can enhance our ability to heal the spirit and emotions. The following excerpts from the Crystal Congress describe this healing relationship. Harley Swiftdeer is a North American Indian shaman who practices the same crystal methods his medicine people have used in healing for thousands of years.
The four directions. Behind all shamanic traditions is the ability to communicate interspecies, to communicate with the mineral world, the plant world, the animal world, the human world. And the knowledge that the crystal is what we call the determiner of energy in the mineral world. And the mineral world's the holder. Well, in your body, the silicon dioxide construction in your blood is what holds and determines whether or not you live. Well, see, we've got Venus and Mars and Jupiter and Saturn, all the other planets, but they're sterile. They cannot bear children. Grandmother Earth can. So her womb, her magma is alive, it's awake, it's activated. And it is because of her silicon dioxide. It is because of her crystalline structure in her physical body. And the Earth, our planet, is a grandmother. And when she births her children, the plants, that's Earth Mother. There's a famous teacher on this planet called Jesus of Nazareth, and he said, I am the way, the truth, and the light. But even as I am, you may be also. For even greater works must you do in my Father's name than even I have done. Well, it's kind of humorous to me and to most twisted hairs that nobody's listened to what the man said. First of all, they made an entire religion out of his teachings, and that's not at all what he proposed. Second, he said, even as I am, you may be also, for even greater works must you do. And I hate to tell you this, but you can't do something greater than someone if you put them up above you and give your power away to it. And any shaman knows that. If you're going to do greater works than Jesus, you better walk the same talk that he walked. And the only way you can do that is to be in harmony with everything around you. And that's at the root of what the crystal teaches. See this crystal sitting right here that you call the Empress? That's a brain cell of Grandmother Earth. You're looking at her brain cells. Her memory. And in your blood is your silicon dioxide, your memory. So when you pick up a crystal by pure alchemical process of transference, of spirit into substance and substance back into spirit, you have to come to alignment and gain memory. It's impossible not to. But you must remember, you don't worship this thing. It has only the power that a determiner places upon it, and you're the determiner of energy. Minerals hold, plants give, animals receive, two-leggeds determine or choreograph. This is the way it is. It doesn't mean we have dominion over the other worlds. It means we are the choreographer of those worlds. So when Jesus said we are the way, the truth, and the light, what he was talking about is that the light's at the center of the wheel. The wheel is the everything. Truth is totally subjective, totally individualistic. Truth is whatever wakes you up and makes you realize there is a light out there. You came from it, and you got to go back to it.
Author and teacher Katrina Raphael sees precious stones as a way toward that light, toward our own spiritual healing.
Not just crystals, but many healing stones can be used for our healing. And one of the things that we must do in order to be this clear and reflect the light purely from within us is heal ourselves. And sometimes we're not even aware that we're not well. When you place crystals and stones on your chakra points, on the vital nerve plexus points, you get light reflection off the stones, and those things can be cleared temporarily while the stones are on. So it gives each individual an opportunity during that time to contact that inner knowing that we all have, so that we can access not only our own healing energy, but our own wisdom and our own light. And the process of laying on of stones is about that. It's about personal empowerment. It's about each individual getting well within and being at peace within. So the crystal healing process is about that. Crystal healing is an incredible responsibility. When you're placing stones on a person's body, you're bringing in high frequency energy. You're bringing in crystallized light that has different effects on different people, because we're all different. And the main requirement to practice crystal healing is that you attune to the stones beforehand, and that you call upon your own inner guidance to be with you, so that in the moment when you're doing a healing and you get a little intuitive notion to remove a stone or to make a statement or to suggest something, you don't doubt. You immediately make the connection, and it comes through, and you manifest the soul level on the physical level in that moment. So the person who is doing the healing has an opportunity at every moment to totally step out of all of the things that we've created around us to get involved in, and be present, be in the moment with the stones, with the light, with your own intuition, and with that person. And when you're in synchronicity with those three things, incredible healing happens. We work a lot with the breath. Each individual, before any stones are placed on, attunes to their own breath and creates their own center space, so that whatever comes up in the healing can be neutralized with center. Through the breath, we have access to universal power. We're constantly taking it in and releasing it. And when you consciously focus on your breath, then you can direct your breath into any area that you need it. And if a person's in a release, you can say, exhale and let go. And that person will follow the direction, and you can let go of things that otherwise would have been very difficult to do. So the healer, the crystals, and the individual's willingness to go through the process makes it happen. And there's nothing that cannot be healed if the individual is willing to really look at it. We've been programmed with a lot of ideas and a lot of concepts, and those are part of the things that we need to let go of. There is something so wonderful and so vast that is right here. It's here now. We don't need to wait for it anymore. It's right here. All we need to do is acknowledge it. And one of the things that crystals do is they bridge dimensions. They're fourth dimensional, they're pure light, but they're also physical form. And what's happening now on the planet is that dimensions are coming together. And the higher laws of the fourth dimension are being infiltrated onto the planet largely through crystals. They're making statements, and there is incredible phenomenon that is happening with crystals as you work with them, not just in the healing process, but things that you can't explain with your rational mind, and things that do not have vocabulary in three-dimensional reality. And I want to just share one of those little things with you, with the record keeper crystal. There's a lot of ancient knowledge that is surfacing now through crystals. Crystals were used in the root civilizations of Atlantis and Lemuria. And the record keeper is a crystal that was programmed in Atlantean times before the civilizations reached its decline. And it was a way to preserve the knowledge. And there were two things that were done with this information. One is it was programmed into the brains of dolphins who've been swimming the seas virtually unchanged for thousands of years and very advanced beings. We're now working with trying to decipher the high-pitched shrill that the dolphins put out. And when that communication barrier is broken, then we will have access to that information. But what else was done with that information is that it was programmed into crystals, certain crystals called the record keepers. And different record keepers carry different information. And the sign of a record keeper is that on one of the faces there will be a small triangle that looks like it's either been etched, you could run your finger across it, you could feel it, or it's slightly raised. And these crystals were marked with that triangle as the sign that they were the record keepers. And when I first started working with record keepers, there was very few. You have to get them in the right light, and you have to look for them to see them, and there weren't many around. And now they are everywhere. They're everywhere. Record keepers abound. Not only that, and this is getting into the phenomenon, is they appear when the person who is meant to work with them, maybe the person who programmed them way back when, is present. I've had lots of experiences where there was a crystal I knew. When I get crystals in, I check them out for the geometry, I check them out for record keepers and all of their special characteristics, and there's crystals that I have known very well, and when a person comes in, those records appear. Otherwise, the crystal would have gone into my private collection. And they come because that person is the one who needs it. They're not for me. They're for someone else. And the last workshop I taught, there were 28 people in it, and 5 of those people in the course of that workshop saw the records appear on their crystals. So it's something that when you have the experience, you can't deny that. You can't make sense of it either with the lower mind, but we also can't deny it. And as you work more with crystals, just be aware and also be prepared, because they're bringing in 4th dimensional frequency. And there's a whole different set of rules for that. And what it says to the 3rd dimension is anything's possible. We can work with the laws that govern the physical plane, or we can work with the laws that govern those laws. And in order to tune in to what those laws are, it means stilling the mind so that you can perceive something that you may not have any data about. We don't have programs for some of this stuff. So it means really opening, becoming non-expecting, so that whatever it is can find a place. There's an opening. And then also integrating it. All the information that's coming is not to space out on, even though it's very easy to do, but it's about grounding. It's about taking all this new information and making it a part of what we are. And that's what it's about now. That's what this new age is about. It's not about beaming out. It's about being here, and each individual accepting the responsibility of themselves, to heal themselves, to align, to attune to that light force that we all share in common. And the crystals are tools for that. The crystals are not it.
Nocerino is well recognized as a teacher of these metaphysical ideas.
The natural way to work with a stone is to put it to your body and keep it to your body for 33 days to 37 days and allow your body to absorb the vibration. To program the crystal, that's the first way we teach people to program the vibration into the crystal. The next one is to hold it in your hand. And through your wind or through your mind, I just simply talk to the crystal, and that's how the crystal is programmed. I don't know of anyone that powerful that I've run into that I have to constantly be cleaning my crystal for. I watch people walk around with salt bags and they're constantly dipping them in salt. They have no business being in the crystal business, or any business for that matter. You program a crystal by talking to it. You put your negative impulse, I was taught, with the left hand. All those things which will diminish the problems, in healing, for instance, the tumors, the infections, and the positive thoughts and the strengthening in the right hand. And when you wish to combine your entire mind, you close your hand over the crystal, using these fingers in the way I was taught, and I've learned many ways since. But we get so involved in so many ways. We learn basic disciplines. From the basic disciplines, we extend ourselves into programming our power tools, our stones, the way they pacify and balance with us. Each of you must learn your own path. All we are windows and doors into those paths, into your memory banks. Work your own program, and you may be surprised what you learn.
Author and jeweler Uma Silby is someone who believes that each person must discover their own program.
With the crystal, you know, again, I like to look, what's the essence? What's the essence? Balance, harmony. If you can continually recreate balance, you'll see amazing things happen, and you'll feel good, because what do you need to create balance? You need to be balanced within yourself. So, and from that balance, the Zen people have a word, the beginner's mind. Though you know method after method after method, you use your method in a state of the beginner's mind. You are a clear channel, and you work. Some people describe it like flowing with energy. Everybody has their own experience, you see. And it's very useful, very helpful to listen to other people's experiences and learn, try them out. Are they working for you? Are they not? It's almost like there's no right or wrong. It's more like what works and what doesn't work. So the crystal is very useful in working with subtle vibration, obviously. You can place it on the body, you can send in, pull out, use visualization. The methods are endless. You can use it with sound, you can use it with breath, you can use it with prayer, contemplation, visualization. And again, as you listen, many methods will come to you, and a lot of information that you may question. Often when information comes to you, it's good to use it for a while and sit with it. See how it develops. Let things unfold within you. Crystal ball reading, crystal gazing. A lot of information will come to you. And what's interesting is you'll find that images that begin coming to you, things that you start seeing other people are having them, or ancient cultures, you know, kind of breaks apart your normal edges that we create between time and space, and what's so and what isn't so. It's a constant challenge to let go of fixed ideas of reality and possibility and just let yourself open. Again, maintaining good grounding and good balance in the earth.
Marcel Vogel has been a pioneer in the field of luminescence and liquid crystals most of his life. Currently, his research is devoted to vitalizing the environment, water, and mankind through the use of quartz crystals.
Thank you so much. I've been 27 years as a senior scientist at IBM. And I see this as a renaissance in chemistry, physics, medicine, a whole new era of technology. A crystal has the capacity, especially quartz, to hold the patterns of mind, the thought forms, and it can hold it in a domain structure system exactly the same as we hold information on ferromagnetic material in magnetic tape or disk memory systems. I see these as the computer of the future, because we can store not bits, zeros and ones, but we can store complete thoughts, an idea, a thought form. We can put it away, and as time progresses, this will be put into an apparatus, and out from there will come onto a display screen the patterns of thought that have been imputed into this crystal. I see us in the immediate future making crystal devices in which we can telepathically communicate with one another instead of the telephone line and the use of the devices that we have at present. Now, my logic and reasoning is the following. When I can get a resonant oscillator, which I can resonate with the water molecule, and I can amplify that oscillator up to a frequency level that I come and I can broach the distance then with my mind, I can communicate any place in the world. I did this, my friends, with a plant, with a philodendron. I could talk to a plant between here and Washington, D.C. I could communicate with a plant from Prague, Czechoslovakia, to San Jose, California, and I published that in a paper that I wrote, Man-Plant Communication, and that was published by White and Psychical Explorations, A Challenge for Science, by Edgar A. Mitchell. It is important, those of us who have the courage to design and create new science and not be afraid to have a go at it. Because the average technical scientist will say, this is impossible. Where is your source of power? My answer, it's in the ether. We have a universal source of power everywhere. Every time we breathe, we build power within our body. But with that breath, we take in a force called prana. None of us really know what prana is. It's a chargeless mass of energy. We can transfer that prana by intention into this crystal. And you can detect that charge because the crystal will start sticking in your hand. It becomes very, very sticky because of the charge transfer.
Look at a crystal, and what do you see? A rainbow. Well, that's what we got sitting here in the audience, a rainbow of two-leggeds. But if we come together, if we gather together, if we reach out and try to touch each other with our beauty, and we don't worry about whether anyone accepts that beauty or not, but just touch them with the beauty, all of the colors of the rainbow come into a white light. And we're finally starting to get our act together, you see. Most of my training was with Grandfather Tom Wilson, who was known as Don Ganado in Carlos Castaneda's books. And Grandfather Two Bears was a great man. He was a powerful man. He was a twisted hair. And one of the things he taught me is that you have to dance your sacred dream awake. That the average two-legged on this planet is sound asleep, wandering through life at the effect of almost everything around them. They do not know their crystal matrix, their soul. They do not know what they've written into their book of life to do in this lifetime. They do not know how to touch themselves, life, and others with beauty. And so they're asleep. And when you don't know how to touch yourself with beauty, then you're going to go out and you're going to say, I don't like this man, he's a nigger. I don't like him, he's got a beard. I don't like her, she's got too damn much money. You see what I mean? We judge, we compare, we isolate, we separate. And all of those are illusions. Why? Because you don't have your way. Your way is what has heart for you. But the beauty is when everyone can gather together in what's called the Rainbow Bridge by our people. And remember that we're all relations. In our language, we have a word called ometakrios. Ometakrios says that everyone whom I meet, I have dreamed into my circle. Therefore, they have been, they are now, or they will be my relation. People says, well, you have to have faith to believe in God. No, I don't. All I have to do is look at a crystal. All I have to do is look at a plant growing. You want to know a miracle? Look at a seed. Put a seed in Grandmother Earth, and I have never yet seen a seed that's marked this side up. You just put it in the earth. And then an amazing thing happens. It grows up. Well, why do we tend to want to go backwards? Grow down. In other words, we don't even have enough sense to be a good plant. A 3. And animals are 4. And we're supposed to be a 5. I think we're somewhere between 1 and 2. But we can be a 5 if we learn to do a simple thing. It's called open heart-to-heart communication. And what is the greatest teacher? The minerals, the plants, the animals, the spirit world. So what are two-leggeds for? Well, we're here to be mirrors to each other when we have the same energy level. We're here to be reflections. But most importantly, we're here to learn to touch. And so when you want to heal yourself, try to remember how a crystal touches. It grabs you as soon as you walk within its presence. So reach out and hug someone. Hug a tree today. Life is pretty simple. And whether the tree be one that grows through the earth, or whether it's a two-legged tree, a flowering tree as our people call humans, hugging a tree gives you back energy. So what I'd like to do is leave you with a little message that Grandfather taught me. Number 1, don't believe anything anyone tells you, especially me. Number 2, when someone is teaching you something, they can't teach you anything. All I can do is share with you what I have learned in my path, what has worked for me.
So I think that there's one thing that can't be denied, and that is that crystals are having an impact on people. And I think that we're all scrambling to figure out why that is. And, you know, I just have to go back to my initiation with crystals, or my involvement coming into this with crystals, is oftentimes I was without the intellectual understanding of why I was so enamored. But I am. And so I think that this experience with the crystals is one that's unfolding. I don't think that there are a whole lot of specific answers that will package this phenomenon called crystals. I think that it's an exploration. I think that it's a love affair. I think that it's something that is ongoing, that is a discovery, as is the process of life. And so crystals become a tool and a friend and a companion and a fun focal point and a point of interest that we can come together on.